One of the more common arguments I hear nowadays against Islam, the Quran, the Prophet Muhammad is that nowhere in the Quran, the Hadith, or nowhere does the Prophet Muhammad say Yahweh, or nowhere is Yahweh mentioned as the name of God or the God of Abraham. Nowhere is Yahweh, the name of the God of Abraham, mentioned in the Quran, etc. So their argument goes, well, the Quran does not mention the true name of God, which is Yahweh, according to the critics of Islam. And by critics, I mean A plus, all these, critics of Islam that say this, that bring up this argument. Well, all you got to do is do a little bit of research into this, into the name of Yahweh, like I mentioned many times in many other videos. But there's some new points I want to bring up, in that Yahweh was the god of war in the ancient Canaanite uh, uh, pantheon. So the name Yahweh actually was essentially a polytheistic, or in other words, a false pagan god who was worshipped along with a bunch of other gods and goddesses. For example, Yahweh had a wife named Ashura, and Yahweh was mentioned, or Yahweh was worshipped among other gods and goddesses such as Baal, Shamash, Yarak, Mut, Astarat, etc., etc. So Yahweh was actually, one of the many gods in ancient Canaan, one of the many false pagan or polytheistic gods that the ancient Canaanites used to worship. So, like basically, the whole thing is that Yahweh was not the original name of God, uh, the God of Israel. Like, that name is not the original name of God, because even if you read Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, God's name is Elohim. Later on, God's name becomes Yahweh in Exodus chapter 3 verse 14, I believe. If you do a little bit of background research into the background of Yahweh, Yahweh came from ancient Canaanite paganism, that the Israelites plagiarized or copied off ancient Canaanites, or ancient polytheism, and this is wonderfully explained in the book Yahweh and the Gods and Goddesses of Canaan by John Day. You can see the screenshot of the book on the right, where he goes into the origin of the name Yahweh and how Yahweh was actually a pagan god. So scholarship is in agreement that Yahweh was a pagan